Hey, I'm Owen.
And I'm Susanna.
And we have kind of an exciting episode here today.
Yeah.
We have our really good friend Galen here on voice chat, who will be joining us in a second. Galen has been our friend for quite some time.
Yeah, very long.
Probably as long as we've been making art in the first place.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think so much of our art history has been entwined with theirs, to the point where a lot of what we know about making comics has come up alongside sharing pieces of information back and forth about the kinds of programs we use.
Yeah.
And the kinds of, I don't know, and just in general software that we use to make the stuff that we do has kind of evolved alongside our friendship. And so Galen also makes a webcomic that I will link down in the description that is one of my favorites. And we'll definitely talk about that as they're on with us. But I am thrilled to talk shop, I guess. It's one of my favorite things to do, to like talk to other people making comics, trade tips, I guess, and trade I don't know, just you go diving for different ways of doing stuff, and you get to share that with other people, and that's like one of my favorite things to do in comics.
Yeah, it's the chance to get to explore something that you're used to through someone else's mind.
Yes, exactly.
I think that really makes a huge difference.
And that's so much of why I like making comics with you in the first place.
Yeah. Is
that I never feel like I come at it from one place anyway. But really also when we have good friends who also make comics, I don't know, it's just such a source of delight for me. I love the stuff they make, and then also I love being able to talk about making things at the same time. So
I agree.
So
we've known them for so long, and like you said, we've been so entwined in all of our art making process with them that like literally we can always talk about new programs, new techniques, and it never gets old.
Exactly. So Galen recently has been kind of digging into using 3D models.
Yes.
To work with backgrounds and to work with props and stuff like that. And so I really want to pick their brain about that today. So I'll definitely be asking them about that. And then also just about, because I think we were talking about earlier, maybe focusing more on using vectors.
Yeah.
And so that's all kind of stuff that I know we've played with a little bit, but I've been really excited to talk with someone who uses it more regularly, and I think puts it to really good effect.
Yeah. It definitely actually helps to have those conversations with someone else, because like I said before, I really have a hard time pushing myself outside of the bubble that I'm used to.
Sure.
And trying new things. So sometimes having someone else that knows what they're doing, like talk to you about it, makes you a little more confident.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think so. And I think also it's good fodder for then feeling to have like a fun time with it. Do you know what I mean? Like it kind of puts you in, I don't know, because like, you know, when we were kids we would always like we would do like group draw, and I feel like approaching group draw, like drawing together, kind of broke you out of that like maybe that stress tension that you sometimes get when you draw too much, that when you draw with friends it kind of reminds you, hey, you're doing this for fun. Remember at the core of it that this is an activity that you do for fun. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like that's the way now my mind has been conditioned to like approach most things. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Is if you can sit and talk to a friend about it, or if you can share that experience with friends, I don't know. I feel it's very inspiring and rejuvenating.
Yeah, it gives you like some renewed vigor for it.
It does. Vim and vigor.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited, and I'm really excited to share that with you guys. So if you guys want to hear us talk about Clip and talk about Blender and talk about just 3D modeling and exciting ways to use innovative technology to make comics, then stick around.
Hope you'll enjoy it.
Welcome.
Hi, Galen.
Hi.
Welcome to our little, I guess we're calling it a podcast.
It's like a sort of podcast.
Yeah, podcast with a visual component.
Hell yeah. A little bit of speed drawing. podcast. Super excited to get to chat with you for this.
I'm so excited.
Always.
So happy you wanted to talk.
Absolutely. Always so thrilled to be able to chat. Galen, you make the comic Boys Love.
I do.
Which is one of my absolute favorites right now.
It's so good.
And it is especially delicious lately.
I know.
I'm so happy to hear that. I'm having a lot of fun right now.
I think it shows.
Yeah, for sure.
I absolutely 100% think it shows. It is so delicious and dynamic lately.
Yeah, a lot of the most recent pages, because you have Dakota putting on the skates and everything, I've been really loving all these like little motions that he's been going through.
Oh, thank you.
They're so good. So good.
I feel like I stare at people like all of the time, and I need to make that for a reason and not just for me to be like... watching people. Like, I don't know.
I know what you mean. I know
every
exactly.
Time you draw, like, you have to decide what to include in a drawing, and like, I don't know, when you're out doing stuff with people, you decide what you're doing with your body. You're making the same decisions to draw a picture.
Yeah, it's so true. I notice you do that too, Susanna. Do a lot of like people watching, and I love the approach of like justifying it by saying it's part of my career. I have to do it.
Yeah.
It makes it worthwhile that I'm obsessively studying people.
Right, body language is important.
I really like it. I like it a lot, and I really like what you're making lately. It's super fucking good.
Yeah, I love it.
Absolutely. So I have been chatting with you a little bit lately. You are specifically the reason we got into Clip Studio. I think when we started switching off of Photoshop back in the day, Clip Studio was like starting to grow in popularity. It was like starting to be kind of a thing. But it was you, Galen, I think specifically that really you posted a couple cool tools.
Oh yeah, it's got a lot of really neat like quick little things that it does.
Insane stuff. Like seeing some of the stuff you posted was like, I need to do this. I absolutely need to use this program more.
I mean, we've almost always been using about the same programs contemporarily, like the
so true. That's so true.
Like, being used to either Sci or Photoshop and going into Clip is like, it's a whole different like Photoshop is Photoshop. It's for photo editing. You can draw and
so
do
true
other stuff, but it's not what it's like for.
Yes.
But Clip is for drawing, so it has a lot of it literally has like the ability for you to add action scripts for common actions that you do frequently that'll automatically just do for you.
And it's more intuitive.
It is super intuitive.
I feel like Photoshop has like pieces of that, right? But it's meant for like applying a filter to a photo. Like you've taken a professional photo and you apply like the same several filters to it over and over again, and so then that's what you need there. But I would say that Clip is definitely, it's made within an industry that is more comics based. It's made
it used to be Manga Studio like back in the day, and then they rebranded.
For sure. So it's just delicious. And so a lot of the tools that I lean on are specifically ones that you've posted. I name them all. I think I told you I name them all. G or G-kun or Galen. Because they're just like, because I won't remember which ones they are. Like, this is the one Galen told me I need to.
I need to like rename mine because I love the like assets website, like I will scour the like tool settings and stuff people upload. But I download them and I don't rename them, so they're all in Japanese, and I'm like, all right, I know 6 kanji, I hope the name has one of them in it.
I do not know any, so it's exactly how it is for me too.
I just have to like pick it and then just try it and be like, okay, it's this one.
Okay. Then you can pick a name for it. My number one tip for like if you want to find stuff to use for Clip is get Jisho app, like a dictionary in Japanese, and search the Japanese words, because you'll find way more stuff with Japanese keywords than English.
Oh, that's so smart.
That's a good idea.
That's such a good idea. Oh, I gotta write that down.
Yeah.
Actually, that's I used to do the same, like even just looking for art. Do you know what I mean? It's like when you're looking for art, like make an effort to like use the kanji for what you're looking for too.
Right. yeah, like this is obviously from a very particular country of origin, so the user base is going to be slanted that way too.
Absolutely. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
That does make so much sense, and I wouldn't have thought of that offhand.
Yeah, I think I know what I'm going to be doing immediately after this.
Yeah, I think I have an app for my iPad that's literally, it's just like dictionary, and I just copy and paste stuff from that. If you
What's
don't
it
want
called?
Like Gisho.
Oh, okay.
JISHO. I don't know if that's OU or just O.
Perfect.
But, yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, I'm so excited now.
Then you don't have to like get the Japanese keyboard, which is just like T9 but a different language.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, good to know. Oh, that's so helpful.
Yeah, especially like right now as they're doing that special in Clip Studio for the login.
Yeah, the login bonus.
And like I haven't logged in a single time. Like I've used Clip, but I haven't like gone to their website specifically.
They do kind of tuck it out of the way. Yeah,
it's a little difficult.
I think I've gotten two.
Like, almost every time I draw, like I need a new specific thing that I need to go to the assets thing for.
Yeah.
That's so true. Yeah.
Oh my god! Like I'm so glad I didn't have to draw those rollerblades.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, they're so detailed.
I know. I got a comment on the page too, where someone was like, "Those rollerblades," and I was like, "That wasn't me." That's a 3D model and a filter. I put like weight on the lines, like I inked over parts of them to make it look less than just like a converted layer. But
yeah, honestly, I couldn't even tell. So that's
looks
awesome.
So good. It looks so genuinely good for sure. But I think that's part of the benefit of these like 3D models and stuff.
Yeah,
you're kind of like, that's the point, is like you draw over it a little bit so it does suit your style.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a placeholder, which is like, for some of the more complicated items, like I will just like straight up use, because it'll I don't know if it's in both versions of Clip or if this is like exclusive to the like higher price one, the LT conversion of layer that turns literally anything into like tones.
Okay. Yeah. Hold on, I'm writing this down.
If you do it on a 3G object, it will turn the line art into a vector layer, which is super dope because I do all my inks on vector layers, so it already like 2 vector layers work in tandem, so even if they're not the lines aren't all in the same layer, they'll the intersection will still be treated as if they are when you go to erase and stuff.
Oh, that's sick.
But you can still keep like your 3D model lines separate, so if you want to move just those, it's a lot easier.
Oh, I
But
cannot
even like
wait.
pictures, like if you take pictures, that same page, the background is a church by my house.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
I was noticing that. Like, it's so detailed.
It's
like,
gorgeous.
Wow, cool.
Cause I remember being really young, and I think the first time I pointedly was like, how did they draw this? I was reading Fushigi Yugi when I was like 13 or something.
Yeah.
And I think there's like, she's eating like a bunch of food, and the food all looks like really good. And I was like, how do people in Japan draw like this? In my 13-year-old brain, I'm like, they're drawing it all. This one mangaka with no assistants
with no
or
team.
whatever.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And then like I get this program, and I'm like, oh, they don't draw it.
That makes so much sense.
I don't
really
draw
does.
it either.
Yeah, save the time where you can.
Yeah,
then
honestly,
you can make more comics.
I don't need to be an architect. Someone else already built this building.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep, that makes so much sense. That really does. So actually, I wanted to ask you about that too. So you do your inks in vector layers.
Yeah.
That's interesting. How do you like it?
I love it. I think in general, it's made my line art a lot crisper. I started using them. I think the very first page of chapter 4 is the first time like I didn't at first, and then you can actually convert raster layers into vector layers.
I saw that. Does that work well?
It depends on what you're converting, because whatever algorithm converts like the line weight and pressure doesn't always transfer quite the same as it would be if you drew straight onto a vector from the get-go.
Okay, fair enough.
So you'll end up with like jagged lines or like thicknesses that are weird. But if you draw, like, you'll notice that tools do feel different drawing in a vector versus raster layer.
Sure. Yes. Yeah.
But for me, at least, because my line width isn't like hugely varied without using like actually different size brushes.
Right.
It doesn't like look like, I don't feel like I'm sacrificing like an aesthetic at all by using a vector layer.
That definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
Because like it is much more helpful, like to use the vector erase if your lines aren't sketchy and don't cross over.
Yes. Yeah.
It's really gotten me to make longer, consistent strokes rather than like, you know, chicken scratching it together.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. We were talking about this a little bit the other day too, where we've on and off played with trying to go back to vector layers.
Yeah.
Specifically because the ability to erase up to a crossed line.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so nice.
Such a time saver. You know what I mean?
It does save so much time in those little moments where it's like you're just trying to like draw a lot of crossing lines, and it's just like erasing it and chunking away is just so difficult sometimes.
Yeah.
Yup.
And we were talking also about how to use vector layers for you on sections of art like faces and stuff.
Yeah.
That you SUZANA feels kind of like it's a little stiff.
It stiffens it for me.
Yeah.
It does, yeah, I agree. And I think part of the difference is also just like our art styles are super different in general.
That's true, yeah. That is true.
Real.
And are you using just like the default G pen that Clip comes with? Yeah.
Yeah.
I use a custom one that I downloaded from that app store. So I don't know if like the tool that I made was like intended to be used as a vector more often.
Oh, okay.
That's just me speculating, but I feel like there is a little bit of a difference. Like if I make a new layer and forget to make it a vector layer, I'll be like, this is flowing really nicely.
Sure.
It doesn't normally.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. I guess I kind of wondered how much of it was like, do you think you could like adapt to it? Like it was like a learning curve where it's like...
I think it was a little bit. And like in general, inking with Clip kind of was. It took me a while to find a tool that I really liked to do it. Like I know that I'm an outlier and that inking is my favorite stage of drawing.
Really?
Like, if I could do inks and nothing else, like maybe I should, honestly.
Wow.
But I would love that. So like for me, finding a pen that felt really good took a lot of time. And then once I found that one, and I'm trying to think on my timeline on this. I think around chapter 3 I started using this pen, but I wasn't quite using vector layers yet.
Okay, yeah.
And as I did, my style kind of like adapted into just get like by sheer muscle memory getting used to how the pen would feel. I don't think that when I do drawings that like are raster completely, I don't feel like I get like any more life out of it necessarily, but
makes sense. Yeah.
I have a huge struggle with like how thin I like to draw my lines versus like putting any color on it makes them like disappear.
Yes, yeah, you do use a very thin line style.
Yeah.
But since it's black and white,
it works.
Fine.
Yeah, no,
but
it definitely
when I try
works.
to do an illustration, I always have to use either like a bigger pen size or I'll
That's really interesting.
Not line in black or something.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I think though it would just come down to like maybe like changing some of the settings for your pen if you were like have like a copy it and have a vector version and mess with the inputs a little bit.
Yeah, that makes sense. I really should play with it more. I haven't really touched my G pen that much.
Yeah.
Except for sizing.
I would really love maybe get a couple pens and play with it and see if maybe vector could be something, especially if you only do it in like sketches.
Yeah.
Because I know there's a lot of pressure like to get too adventurous making the next page, and then it's like, whoa, this looks really different. Yeah. Like, why all of a sudden 26 and 27 are such
story
different...
of my life.
Yeah, for sure. So it's like, and then the pressure is on, and then if you don't like it, oh, heaven forbid, that you get like 4 hours into your workday, and it's like, I hate all of this.
Yeah.
You waste 4 hours.
Oh, that's the worst. I've definitely done that before.
There is a page, like, I got tired of the pen I was using and like switched to a different one because I was like, it is faster to draw like a little bit more sketchy and not like worry about one fluid line when you're inking. So
yeah, absolutely.
Trying to use something a little bit more paintbrushy, but that made finishing the rest of it really difficult because of, and maybe now that I have that like the lasso fill thing. That filled under the lines too. Maybe this tool would be something usable, but then you also get like kind of like it's not anti-aliasing, but it reminds me of like a fuzz outside of where anti-aliasing would be on, like,
fair
a
enough.
layer.
Yeah.
So I didn't like it. Like I would have to like redo my entire process just to like use this one pen that felt like moderately better than the one I use now.
Yeah.
So
what a
I
shame.
just went right back to it.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah. I'd love to just set aside like maybe like on a day off, just set aside a day to just do like garbage sketches. You know what I mean? Like just really go through and do a couple of really fun
Yeah, I've been kind of playing with vector and other things the last few days. Some of my sketches most recently have been me trying to play with
is that
vector
right?
again. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
The Milo
Cause you
dancing and stuff.
Yeah, like you do sketch in a very like I cannot sketch with such a thick line. I lose what I'm doing so hard.
Yeah, that's true. Susanna does sketch very thickly.
Yeah, I sketch almost like animation sometimes.
Yeah, you do. I need the like pencil feeling. It drives me like up a wall.
I'm kind of the same way.
I am not like I watched a couple other of your like process videos, and you're so clean at sketching in general. I am constantly deleting my sketch layers because they are messes, and like I'll do one really bad one, clean it up in some parts, not everywhere, and then like it's just like this whole process of like merging and erasing stuff as I need it and don't. It's not an efficient process.
I've definitely like I used to do that a lot with pencil sketching. Yeah, because I used to sketch with pencils in real life, but once I started sketching with pens in real life, it started feeling wrong to do that on computer too.
Oh, I will say that I've observed you change your mindset about sketching when you think about sketching as if it were pen sketching. Yeah. As opposed to like a pencil sketch.
Yeah. Like, I don't think I have a pencil sketch recently. It's been a while.
It's been a while.
I've been avoidant of pencils for probably a couple of years now.
Yeah. So I definitely noticed that your process, you approach it mentally, even though it's digital and it's not true, but you approach it kind of like as though you can't erase things.
Yeah. Yeah, so I try to keep a lot more consistent, like, heavy lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, thank you. I actually really like the way that pencil sketches come out. It's just when I used to do pencil sketches, my problem was that I would lose my form really quickly, and so then I couldn't ink it right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I read about, because, like, you know, people are like, I didn't want to erase the line, or the sketch because I like it. It looks more dynamic than the line work. And that's because, like, sketching kind of replicates the soft focus our eyes naturally put on things.
Yeah.
So there's no, like, things don't have outlines in real life.
Sure.
And it's, like, this is a technique you'll see more in painting where there's, like, soft edges and, like, colors kind of bleed together. Yeah. Depending on, like, the lighting and the whatever is being depicted. But sketches, like, replicate the things that are out of focus that are not necessarily the center of our field of vision that we're looking right on. Yeah. And then line work forces it into focus, so it looks stiffer.
Sure. So it's like a more direct vision. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Interesting.
I want to think about that as I go to like study the room even right now.
I know.
Like already looking around like, whoa. This is like high thoughts right now.
Oh my gosh.
It's true. I'm really... Conversations like this make me so excited to be like, I want to just sketch for a whole day. I just want to...
Right, like draw for fun, not because I have to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I love that. And we were also talking a little bit about, speaking of time-saving processes. I've been thinking a lot lately, especially because it is an active goal that I have for the future to do at least 2 comics simultaneously. Yeah. Which is a huge undertaking, I think, compared to... having to monitor Susanna's hand health.
Just 2.
Well, you know, we'll see. I don't know.
Maybe more. We'll see.
Maybe more. I don't know. I just want to make so many comics. And how do you make them all?
It's hard.
It's really hard. And so...
you have to make them.
And because you have to make them. And then with your hand. Yeah. Like, your actual hand has to move.
Right. The computer does a lot of it sometimes.
That's true.
Yeah. Force that to happen.
That's true. But it's tough. And so... Like, I've been a little nervous for Susanna's hand health. But, like, we have ideas for projects that we'd even like to do simultaneously that I think would be mentally stimulating to be able to do multiple projects simultaneously because you kind of, you get out of the rut of, like, having to approach the same story over and over again. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yep. Change up the style a little bit, too.
Yeah. Yep. And so I've been very deeply interested in starting to build reference folders for common scenes. And I saw that you were talking a little bit about building a scene that's upcoming in your comic.
Yes.
And I wanted to pick your brain about what it's looking like so far and how you're enjoying the process, because that's something I'm deeply, deeply interested in starting to do.
Well, I like having it a lot. Like, it's a huge time saver. It kind of, like, what the process is kind of depends what kind of environment I'm making. So this next one is a shop, which is, like, so the interior is a little bit different. But the first one that I ever really did was Dakota's apartment. And I've done floor plans for every apartment we've been in, except for one, because it's just my apartment. So
I love that. I love that a lot.
Max's bathroom is my bathroom.
I love that. That is amazing. That's so smart.
I got this program initially called Home Design 3D because I don't know how big things are. Like, I can't, like, draw a room and be like, yes, this is like a reasonable size of a room, and this is how big things in a room are.
I have the same problem.
The room size.
Yes,
so 100%. I have a home designer app that, like, it's basically like building a house in The Sims, which I guess you could just use The Sims too.
Yeah, that's true.
But this puts out like a blueprint or floor plan. Because architects actually use like a pro version of it for stuff, and you can even get your like model 3D printed, and they'll send it to you.
That's sick. I love that.
I thought about that. Like,
now I want it.
Then you can like. Because the only thing I don't like about this program is the camera itself, and it sucks. So there's not really like a good way to like do a like in-home view. So what I did with that was just laid out the room, got the floor plan, screen printed it, and put that image in Blender as a base for the floor. And I'm still super brand fucking new to Blender.
Yes, yeah.
This project is one I'm going to redo because I did not know what I was doing when I was making it.
Fair enough.
But it put all the relations for like the furniture. So I just like built cubes on top of it all and made it like an appropriate height, with like the floor plan still being labeled.
Yeah.
And so I have my like personal server that I talk to myself in for my story writing. That's just like screenshots and screenshots of these like the most poorly done Blender cubes ever, at all different angles for his apartment.
I love this. This is so smart.
I'm gonna redo it because I just got this add-on, and I'm gonna use it also to make a city. The add-on's called Q Blocker. Like the letter Q blocker. But it makes cubes. Or like other geometry, which you can just do in Clip, in Blender.
Sure.
You can like add a thing, but this, you turn on the add-on, and then you draw where you want the cube to be, and then you like draw how tall you want it to be, and you can just do this endlessly and put them all over the place rather than having to like define it or like
this is
make a solid cube and scale it and stuff or whatever. So that is what I'm going to do, and then I didn't write down this website like a fool, but I don't understand the scale of things in general, and like I am like, this takes place in a fictional city, and I don't know how to make a city.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm very bad at this too.
There's I'm gonna Google it again, but there's a website that was like, I think it's for like tabletop campaigns, but it makes fake fantasy towns for you and like generates.
I feel like I've heard of this.
A city layout, but then you can like it almost works like a vector where there's like handles that you can pull on parts of it to change the shape.
I'm almost positive I've seen this before, but I don't know what it's called either. I feel like I saw it in passing.
Yeah, I think I
it's
saw
something
someone
super
on Twitter
basic.
with that.
Yeah.
I'll have to look at that.
So I have a screenshot of that I'm just going to put in Blender and put Cube Blocker in and block a bunch of cubes to make a city instead of having to.
So smart.
Man.
I love this idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I want to learn to do Blender more for like further things further on, just like comic adjacent projects that sound fun or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
But for doing anything that involves perspective or geometry, it is like endlessly helpful, especially because I'm so bad at laying out my pages. Like I don't know how they're gonna look at the end when I start. I have an idea, but like there's a lot of shuffling around happens.
Right.
So being able to take screenshots of the scene that I want at different angles and putting it into my page and see how it fits in the page without actually having to do any real work to like have that draft.
To lay that out, for sure.
Yeah, it's really, really, really helpful.
I can imagine.
Things stay consistent.
Yes.
Enough. I think I gave Dakota overhead cabinets in his kitchen very suddenly.
Who cares?
He built them.
He built them.
Exactly. Whatever.
I love that, though.
There is magic in this world, so...
Yeah, for sure.
Summoned them.
Don't worry about it. There's a reason. I won't tell you what it is, though.
Is it important? Come on. The cabinets.
No.
I love that, though. That is so fascinating to me.
Yeah.
How have you approached putting, I think because we talked about this a little bit too, about how one of the most difficult parts of backgrounds for you, Susanna, is rigid objects in backgrounds, like plate settings at tables or vases or cups, things like that. How have you found it? Have you used it at all with putting objects within your scene?
I actually tend to download brand new 3D models from the Clip assets for those.
Sure.
What I figured out finally a little bit how to really well use the Clip 3D layers, completely by accident.
Sure.
If you add 3D objects to the same layer as an initial one, it'll put it on the same perspective grid.
Okay.
If they're made by different creators, the size is very often not going to line up, so you have to change.
Right, you have to fiddle with it a little bit.
Yeah, which they're so without being able to show you my computer screen or whatever, but the object selection tool that lets you select vectors or 3D objects or rulers or whatever. If you're on if you have a 3D object selected and you go to the tab that shows the subtool details, the little wrench at the very bottom.
Yes.
There's a tab that says allocate, and that will let you change the percentage size of your 3D model, but also change the percentage size of any individual component of a model in your scene.
Oh shit.
By opening up drop down menus of how it depends on how the model's constructed, and since they're basically open sourced from people who make them with varying levels of skill.
Sure, right.
What you can take in and take out varies and stuff, but that's I think I gave Cade a computer desk at the end of the last chapter, and so I had a table and a computer and put those all in one layer and scaled them appropriately, and then just had this this layer set that I could copy and rotate for different panels and stuff, and to redraw it and make sure everything was in the same association of space.
I love that.
I love that so much. That's so smart.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I've set a task for myself. This is on my bucket list of I can't ask Susanna to increase her production level of comics until I make myself things like this. But I definitely want to start doing the same. First of all, mapping floor plans.
Yeah.
And probably also enlisting your help with that too for if you
absolutely.
have for visions of stuff like that. And then also building up from that, and then also building reference folders of 3D objects that I intend to use a lot. And in some cases, if I need specific unique objects, I'd love to learn Blender enough to build, if I know one of our projects is very Victorian, so it's I think it would be valuable to do to build specifically lanterns, oil lamps, you know what I mean, that kind of stuff, and make sure I have it exactly the way that I want it to look, or
actually period accurate rather than something that's close enough that you can just download.
Exactly. And there is some component too of if you can get something that's close enough and you're drawing over it anyway, of course, that's not a big deal. But if I can also take the time to then build a reference that will be at least close enough that when you draw over it,
you don't have to do that much more drawing over
exactly. Then I will feel more morally correct about asking Susanna to exponentially increase her workload. You know what I mean? So
I'm on board. It sounds fun anyways.
Yeah, for sure. I think also, as much as I'm okay, so I love to plan projects like this for myself because inking is so time intensive that it's let me figure out something I can do to keep myself busy while Susanna's working, and also to make the process easier for her when she gets to it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But every time I feel I feel like I set these projects up for myself, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try this, and then I'll start it and I'll get into it, and I'm like, SUZANA, you're really good at 3D. This is hard. Can you help me with it? So I have to think about that a little more sincerely. But but I saw you posted some beginner tutorials for Blender too that I'm really excited to check out.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that's been. I feel like the program, like, it makes a lot of sense. It's not another, like, muscle memory fluency thing
for sure
that you have to get used to.
For sure.
Yeah.
Different hotkeys and stuff.
For
to
sure.
do what.
Yeah, it's like learning a new video game, like different controls.
Yeah.
Right, and it's like a completely different mental flow because of how stuff gets built in 3D. Like,
Oh, yeah.
you don't, like, you know, unlike like when you draw something, you kind of like sketch out how much space it's going to take and refine down to the details.
Right.
Yeah.
Where 3D modeling is kind of like, it's like sculpting out of marble instead. You start with a cube and you have to adapt that to be what you want.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I know that I have a lot of like adapting to a new program is super difficult anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like I remember first going to Clip and why I'd been so adverse.
Yeah, you were like super like the select tool Photoshop has for flatting.
Oh, do you remember that? I do.
Yeah, so it was like the one thing keeping you from like really loving Clip entirely.
It's so true. I complained for the longest time, and people were like, "You could flood fill," and I'm like, "I know, but
gaps." But look, Clip has gap ignoring.
It does have gap ignoring. I came to that realization. It was.
Thank God.
It was. Yeah. I know. I so agree. Especially the flatting tool that I lean on almost primarily now. God, it's just so delicious.
It makes such a big difference.
Such a time saver.
Set reference layer, do not cross reference layer, bucket fill, and then that flatting lasso is like 100% of how I do the end of my pages.
Absolutely, 100%. Probably between the flatting tool itself, lasso and bucket fill is almost primarily like 80% of the work I do on the page at all. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's delicious. So Clip was very obtuse for me to get into, but at the end of the day, it did probably only take me, I don't know, like a week, because sketching in Clip is still sketching a 2D object.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And working with an illustrative program is still identical to using another illustrative program, though Photoshop might have been more geared toward photos and actually, using photography. Still, a lot of the tools, like a lasso is the same. Do you know what I mean? But Blender has been really obtuse for me.
Yeah, because you're not doing the same thing at all. So
Yeah.
you don't even know what tool you need to get, to look for to do what you want it to do.
Exactly. Like even down to like the hotkeys, where it's like I've watched like maybe 1 or 2 tutorials like before, really letting myself dive into it. And they'll start with like use A, like press the button, like the button for A. And it's like,
for?
Why? What are we doing? Like, you gotta press this one.
You need to tell me what A does.
Yeah. How do we even start? How does this process start? What are my materials? What am I? It made a square. I don't. Why do I need a square? I don't know.
Tell me what there's so much stuff on the workspace of Blender too because of how much it does.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And the worst thing is it's always like a 12-year-old explain it to you. And it's like, the 12-year-old's like, obviously you do this. And it's like, oh my God, you're like a quarter my age. I'm sorry. I don't know.
Well, kids today were like raised on computers. And
they are.
Not.
It's so impressive. It's so genuinely impressive.
Computers for like escape and entertainment in like a very specific subset. And now a computer is everything.
That's everything.
That's your social life. That's your entertainment. It's your hobby. Like it's the way your brain adapts. I feel like to like be used to using programs and stuff, and they're just everything that you do. Like there's an innate intuition I think that you develop.
It's so true.
people who aren't Zoomers maybe don't have.
And it's so true.
I know. I'm so jealous.
I am extremely jealous of how like fluently it comes.
Yeah,
but we got Web.0 and like nobody yelled at me for my like weird Neopets Anthro fan art.
This is true.
9.
This is true. I do value that. I do value.
No one called me cringe when I was a child.
There was no cringe. There was no cringe.
We were allowed for the cringe.
There was. We just didn't care.
We were impervious to it. It was it was fantastic. It was a really gorgeous little subset of the internet that existed during those times that I would not trade for the fluency. That is true.
No.
Yeah.
And part of me does like the stress of trying to figure out
true.
a new program.
It makes your brain feel good, like you're learning something.
It does.
Yeah.
It's a scratch. It scratches an itch.
It's anti-aging.
It is anti-aging.
Exactly. Yes.
That's
combat
exactly
the
it.
onset of Alzheimer's and dementia by keeping your brain active by learning Blender.
By learning Blender.
Put Blender in nursing homes.
So that's on my docket. I really want to start. So I guess that means I have to think critically at the beginning stages about what I even need.
Yeah.
That is so hard for me always. Like, I don't want to think, and I feel like part of my brain is predisposed to like, once I understand how a workflow or something works, getting really into like making a process efficient.
Yes.
But I don't have all the information to know how to make the process efficient.
Exactly.
So I get very frustrated.
It's so frustrating because it's like you have this drive to like, okay, I really want to set everything up so that it is so simple and so easy and so fast. And I haven't written chapter 1 yet.
Yeah.
So I don't know what objects he's going to be holding, and I don't even know where they're going to go. So now I have to write chapter 1 so I can even know what he's going to use for props, and I didn't want to yet. I wanted to learn Blender today. So I think that's like that's my first step, is I have to sit down with my notes and figure out like if I'm going to be tackling this specific kind of process, if I'm deeply invested in going this route, I have to figure out what I need to make. Do you know what I mean? And maybe even do it simultaneously.
Yeah.
Sit down, write chapter 1, write this scene, take a notes. You know what I mean? Take a list of the stuff that I need alongside it. Like, okay, I started a scene, so this is what I'm going to need for the background of that scene.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? These are the objects that I intend to use as props, etc.
Yeah.
I found a really cool, like, mind mapping, I guess it's called, app or website called Mindomo, and it's basically just creates, like, what is that? Like a flow chart or, like, a web chart of, to just, like, organize what you need. One of the kids I worked with was using it to organize how he was writing his story. And
smart.
I was like, dude, this is so cool. Like, he's got, like, his major, like, plot stuff broken out, like where those scenes take place, what he needs to either draw, reference, or model for those scenes to make them complete, and then he just like kind of makes a little flowchart checklist out of all of it.
Oh my god, is that so cool?
I love that.
I know. So I've been trying to use this, but like they have a lot of different layouts and stuff, like styles of like flowchart for you to use depending on what you're trying to like organize. But
that's great.
That's something I need to invest in more as I like am trying to make my drawing process actually be efficient.
Yeah.
I do know how to draw. I do know what my process is. I'm just not paying attention to it right now.
Right.
It wastes a lot of time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And it's like you can be proficient at something and still look for ways to, how do I get it faster? How do I get it faster? Especially when it's like you have so many motivations to get it faster. Like you want to hit an update schedule, or even you just want to preserve the hand health that you have. You know what I mean?
Right.
You want to look for ways that you can save stress on your body or on your time. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. You are coming through with these references, by the way. I'm taking notes.
I'm so glad to be helpful. Like, I feel
so
like
happy.
It's all learned out of like necessity of like coming to a problem and like figuring out how I can solve this so I don't have to think about it the next time I encounter this. Because every single thing that I've been like had to draw for Boys Love, where I'm like, I don't quite know how to do this.
Right.
It will not be the only time I have to do this, so we better figure it out and remember.
It makes so much sense.
Yeah.
I feel like we have a nasty habit of like approaching
the status quo.
Yeah, approaching the page the exact same way.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, if this takes time, then I guess we need to start a day earlier. That's what we gotta do. You know what I mean? And it bleeds into, you know what I mean?
And then a page takes 3 days.
You're borrowing, like it puts you in time debt.
Yeah. It does put you in time debt. That's exactly, you know that gif of, I want to say it's like Tom and Jerry, where Tom is like on a train track. He's like on a toy train, and he's laying
and like laying the tracks in front of it.
Exactly,
That's updating a webcomic.
Deeply our existential situation right now.
Every day.
It genuinely is like, okay, I know I can make this kind of page in this amount of time. And I know that when I come to one of these kinds of pages, it's
going to take a little bit longer.
It takes longer, so we know we got to start those ones sooner. And, you know, for a long time it was like, you know, the update would be like, sorry guys, the update's like 6 hours late today because we're, you know what I mean? So I feel like, you know, as we make steps toward figuring out how to get it up on time, we figured that out little by little, but it really truly has never been shaving the time off.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Always is like staying right where it is, and then if you have something that's like a little bit more intense, or like God forbid I have to draw a background, it takes me like a page that I could have finished in like 4 hours because it's all people talking. Suddenly takes forever because I'm like, oh, this is all people talking. I need to break up the visual interest here.
Exactly. Yeah. Or like you'll have a scene that specifically halfway through the scene they get up and start moving, and what could have been people talking up to a certain point then becomes like every single panel needs to have a full background, and it's
unique.
And it's awful. And then suddenly, because you allocated for yourself, I know I need this amount of hours to finish a page, and then that page jumps up to, whoops, it's 12 hours today. Oh, I hope your schedule can adapt, because that sucks. You know what I mean? It's so much. So I think that this approach is just so smart. It's just such a smarter way of working, of trying to like use tools that industry professionals have mastered. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And created specifically for this purpose, because they're making stuff super fast and super competitively and super, you know.
You might as well use the tools that they now have perfected.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm really going to look into this. So that's my homework for myself, is I need to start building reference folders. I've had it on my to-do list for quite some time, and
it's like constant for me. And even a lot of it is like not even just reference in like stuff that I'm creating on my own, but I've started following a lot of like interesting photography subreddits and just like screenshotting stuff that looks cool for like either character or like creature, monster design, or like environments or feelings in general.
Because for sure.
I have such a hard time trying to like visually portray like feelings that I want. And you know, if you see an image that already portrays it, you feel it, but you don't necessarily analyze why. You're like, oh, this is a spooky picture. What makes it spooky? Like, take a look at the like what aspects of it brought those feelings out in you, and like try to replicate it for whatever you want it to.
That's a great idea too. Yeah, that's something that I do occasionally, but definitely could stand to do more of. Where it's like
trying to
saving pictures for like, oh, this is very inspiring. I want to like really analyze.
You used to do a lot more of that when DeviantArt was like actually usable.
That's so true.
I feel like when I was younger, you know.
Did you see they got like a huge overhaul recently?
No.
Yeah, it looks good. Have you seen it, Suzanne?
Yeah, I've gone through it. A lot of it's a little bit easier to go through.
Yeah.
I forget why I even stopped using it in the first place. I think everyone just left.
Everyone just kind of stopped. As engagement went down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's the same thing that Tumblr's going through now.
The UI is gorgeous, though. It they really spruced it up, and it looks really nice. And I have seen a lot of artists talk about returning to it. I would love
to. A lot of that might be also people like who didn't start with it. You know, like there's like a fresh kind of user base rather than people who kind of like use it a lot and then remembered like daily deviations being like weird fetish porn or whatever. Like, why am I on this website again?
Yes, exactly. Why is this?
Me see this?
Exactly. Why does this algorithm work this way? This is so exactly the opposite of what I wanted from this site. Yeah,
that's right. That's why I left.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yep. But I've been wondering because I think I clicked a link recently that took me there, and it took me a couple seconds to realize where I'd even arrived at.
Yeah,
because it was so gorgeous that I was like, wow, this is DeviantArt. That's crazy. So, it might be worth looking into. I don't know how the user experience is, but
yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot of people trying to compare it to how right now people are struggling with getting art noticed on Twitter.
Yes,
so they're trying to go to other sources. ArtStation, people were trying to go to for a while. I don't know.
I haven't heard of that.
It's like a more professional portfolio kind of website.
Okay,
but I didn't find it easy to find other artists.
Sure, yeah.
So still a struggle.
It definitely has always seemed like I've heard of ArtStation before, and it has always seemed more like a portfolio site than like a artist community.
Okay. Yeah. And then there was Pillow Fort, which I also found that very difficult to navigate.
Pillow Fort? No, I'm thinking of Mastodon because that was another one.
Oh, that was a while back.
That was hard to use for me for some reason.
Mastodon was a little confusing because it operated on different servers.
Yeah. It was supposed to be similar to Plurk, I think it's called. I never used Plurk, so I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
But I remember someone comparing Mastodon to something else, and I feel like it was Plurk.
It reminded me a little bit of like a website version of IRC. Do you remember MIRC?
Yes.
Yeah. Where it was like you would make your text channel, right? You would make like a chat channel, and then that channel existed in like a semi-public way, like you could access them semi-publicly.
Yeah.
But also there were variations and iterations of it that were totally private.
Yeah.
Yeah. You would like specifically need to know where to go to find them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that like kind of the way it was intentionally divided up into so many different servers felt confusing to me because if the whole point of it is to discover other people, that felt counterintuitive to me.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was difficult.
I know a lot of it was also very like privacy based.
Sure.
Because of how much like data breaching had been going on through other sites. But I got like immediately locked out of my login and could never figure out how to open it back up.
Oh, that's a shame. That's such a shame.
I used it for a little bit and then was like, well, I guess I won't use Mastodon anymore.
Yeah. I couldn't even tell you.
Yeah, I think I maybe looked at it for a couple weeks and then lost interest because it wasn't intuitive to me.
It did not feel intuitive to me. I feel like these services keep popping up and they're going to be the next like artist hub, especially after Tumblr cut their not safe for work content. That it's really there's been a search to find the home for sharing art in the future.
Right.
And I don't know. I don't know if anyone's found it yet or if it even exists.
Yeah. I'll be excited to see the next one.
Yeah.
It probably doesn't exist yet, or it's like in the working stages, but I feel like every couple of years something else comes out, and it's kind of long due.
It is long overdue.
It is super.
Yeah. Yeah, I miss it. I miss like this intangible idea of a place that was good to share art on and to find other artists
and
there.
Easy to find art whether or not you're actually popular if you use tags right.
Yeah, exactly. If you're including a link in the thing, and so all of a sudden there's like a shadow ban.
Yeah, Tumblr has been bad about
you're
that.
invisible now because you broke the unspoken Twitter rules.
Exactly.
Yeah, both Twitter and Tumblr lately have been like shadow blocking anything showing up on tags that have a link, and that's so unfortunate.
It is really unfortunate.
Yeah. Bringing like business into social media is very unfortunate because it detracts from the actual purpose of it, which is just people talking.
Yeah, exactly.
The profit on people talking.
Exactly. Yeah. It's so true. And I know a lot of the incentive is to keep people locked to one site. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I know Instagram does a lot of suppression of posts that will take you away from Instagram flow. Like the end goal for the app or for the site is to keep people retained on that website as long as possible, to prevent diversion to other sites. But like, you need it. You have to.
Exactly.
You need to be a hub.
Right. You do one thing that you do well. Let people know you for that. They'll come to you for that. And like, I don't know, like wanting to monetize off of people spending the majority of their time on a site is, you're going to appeal to way too many people and ostracize a very decent amount of people because of that.
It's so true. It's really true. It's a shame.
Yeah.
So I hope, I don't know, I'm really, really hopeful for something to pop up in the future that'll feel more intuitive.
Just waiting.
I know. Just
waiting for the next big thing.
I know it. All right. I think we're pretty close to the end mark. So I wanted to take a second to thank you, Galen, for talking to us today.
Yeah, it was really lovely.
Always a pleasure. Absolutely always a pleasure. And also, thank you for this list of notes that I have here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like every time we talk to you, we learn like 10 new things, and now we have a lot of homework.
Absolutely.
I'm so happy that you've gotten, like, you found things helpful.
Absolutely.
Oh, every time.
Every single time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Thank you. So I know this is what my homework is. While Susanna's working on the page, this is what my homework is. And and I cannot wait to bounce things off of you in the future and try to figure some stuff out. So excited.
Yeah.
And make comics.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. That's about what I'm about to go do now, actually.
Hell yes. Hell yes.
Great. We're going to sync up making comics.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And also, thank you if you're listening to this, if you got to the end of this. Thank you a lot.
Yeah, thank you so much.
It really means a lot to us. We really appreciate it. And we have a lot of fun making them. This one was particularly really fun.
Yeah.
So thank you. And I hope there's some stuff that maybe you could take away from it too. Or I know I have a ton now that I've taken away from it. So
yeah, gonna have a lot of homework and a lot of things to be looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I hopefully by the next time I record one of these, I'll have played with some of this and I can show you, Susanna. I'm really excited.
Me too. I'm really excited to get to actually see some of these programs.
Yeah, hell yeah. So thanks so much.